Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host El Young, and we are here with Devin from ANUBIS. Welcome, Devin.
Glad to be here, man.
So, Devin, could you introduce yourself and what you do within the band?
Yeah, so I am. My name is Devin Reiche. I am the vocalist for ANUBIS, and if you haven't, in the extremely likely event that you haven't heard of us before, we're like a melodic, kind of thrash metal, kind of power metal band from Los Angeles, California.
Cool, cool. Let's dive into some questions.
Yeah.
As a kid, what were you listening to?
Well, that probably depends on how young of a kid you're talking about. At different points in my childhood, I was listening to I don't know, like video game music from like the Mega Man or Castlevania series. Then I was listening to like a lot of They Might Be Giants and Devo and Nirvana and that kind of stuff. Eventually, I landed on Metallica and Megadeth and Ozzy, and it just kind of took off from there.
Cool, cool. So, who actually got you into music? Was it a family member? Was it a sibling? Was it your
Oh,
parents?
kind of none of the above. Like, I think I mean, is if we're talking about like people that I know personally, probably no one. Like, I didn't really have anyone. There was no one really in my life that was a musician or that was more interested in music than I was. So I kind of had no influence at all in that regard and just kind of came to it on my own. I guess, I was just listening to so much Metallica and Megadeth, and I was just so completely blown away by like what these people were doing and, how they were presenting themselves and, the music they were making, that it just, you know, took over my brain to such a degree that nothing else would have really been logical.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
No other course of action or path in life or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, cool. So, who actually inspired you to become a musician? Was it something that you were listening to when you were playing video games, or was it Metallica? Was it Megadeth?
Kind of kind of all of the above. I would say like when I was really little, I just like I would imagine myself playing a lot of the video game themes on like piano in front of people or whatever, but like really I got serious about it when when I started getting into Metallica and Megadeth. And then I think by the time I was getting into like, Iced Earth, Blind Guardian, Halloween, the like European power metal bands, like that's when it kind of gelled. Like this is who I am. This is like the sound that this is my musical identity essentially. So it was like
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah,
all
cool.
the like
Uh,
German
so,
and
uh, yeah.
yeah.
So, what bands were you in before Anubis, if any?
So the very first band I was in was called Blood Red, which was a Slayer tribute band. But then more recently, I was in a band called Hatchet, which was a kind of like um, semi-successful thrash revival band. They were kind of around at the very beginning of like when what you think of as like new wave of thrash started. Where's the camera? Started happening, and it kept going pretty much through the pandemic. Um, yeah, that band did pretty well. We were on a bunch of pretty considerable labels like Metal Blade and Combat, and we did some really good tours. We toured Europe and the UK actually. That was a lot of fun. Um, and yeah, so that's pretty much my only other noteworthy band. And that kind of
Yeah, cool.
my participation, blah, 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 my participation in that kind of came to an end like when I realized that, you know, as much as I like thrash, it's not like it's not the core of my musical identity. And then
Yeah.
I like, you know, I just sort of need a more wh- what word am I thinking of? I just need more of the metal spectrum in my, you know, creative output. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, what has Anubis been up to, especially over the last year, 2 years?
Well, so earlier this year we put out an EP called Eternal Youth, Eternal Night, and we did a really fun music video where we got about 30 people to basically be dead bodies that come to life in the basement of this old haunted kind of like old abandoned theater kind of building. It's not actually abandoned, but it looks abandoned. Um, and that was a fuck of a lot of fun, and I think it came out really well. Am I allowed to say fuck, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Um, yeah, really, really happy with how that came out. And then we've been working on new music. I'm not. We actually just before I called you for this interview, we got the masters in. I think that I'm not allowed to say exactly the nature of what it is because we're still in talks with some people who want to release it. But I will just say one of the most common uh, one of the most common things that we've been hearing is you guys release so many EPs. Why don't you guys do an album? Why don't you guys do an album? Why don't you guys do an album? Uh, Without getting into details, be patient about that. The answer to that question might be coming more quickly than you expect.
Cool. Cool. So, um, obviously, you're in talks about something new, what's coming out.
Yeah.
Is there any other stuff that you've been working on that you
I
can't
mean,
talk about?
just so that I can talk about. Okay, well, um, let's see. We've just been playing a lot of shows, been playing out as much as possible. It's really important for us to stay active and just stay like a part of the scene. Um, uh, Other than that, we're just about to start recording a couple new singles, just in case uh, this new thing that we got completed today doesn't come out for a little while. It's very important that we keep a fairly consistent release schedule. So we are going to record a very small handful of singles that should be out relatively soon, just to, you know, tide people over and remind everyone that we still exist and whatnot.
Yeah, cool, cool. Are you still writing? Are you still writing any new material for like up and coming projects?
So we are all, oh, like other projects, like other bands, or
Yeah,
this.
other bands or other Anubis releases?
No, well, creatively, this is me personally. This is pretty much my only creative outlet at this point, and we're just always kind of always writing. Like we kind of never stop writing, and as a result, we end up with like way more material than we really know what to do with. Because, you know, almost everyone else. I know how to speak. I promise. Pretty much everyone in this band contributes creatively, and like we just sort of on a personal level, none of us are ever not writing something. I know that, you know, I've got files on my computer from songs that the other guys have written that they have probably completely forgotten about at this point. Um, so yeah, we've got tons of unheard stuff, and, you know, always making new stuff pretty much constantly. So there will never ever be a shortage of stuff to record and release.
Yeah. Would the band be? willing to like basically revisit those songs and say, "Oh, I remember this one. Can we
Oh, of
sort of
course.
like record?"
Oh yeah, everything is coming out eventually. It's just, it just stuff takes time to record and promote and all that stuff. And
Yeah, yeah,
we just got off the heels of like a fairly big recording project, so I I feel like I'm doing a very poor job at hiding the fact that we basically just finished recording an album. So I may as well just be open about that. Um so yeah. Yeah, everything is gonna see the light of day eventually.
cool, cool. So, are you planning in any like sort of like any gigs or any like tours of like say for
So
instance the US or Canada or coming back over to the UK or down to South Africa?
God, I would absolutely love to come to the UK. I did a UK tour with Hatchet a couple years ago, and man, it was phenomenal. Um, yeah, I love Europe and I love the UK so much, but it's probably like until we get signed, it's probably not practical to be thinking about going that far out of the way. Um, we did just either yesterday or the day before we kind of started talking to this band from Northern California, sorry, about doing like a little West Coast run. Um, but that is just kind of in the theoretical stages at this point.
Cool, cool.
Other than that, no, we're just planning on staying active among the local scene here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, cool. Well, the reason why I asked about touring, doing a little bit, a few gigs,
To
my
real quick to
Sebastian,
Sebastian, where
yeah,
Los Angeles. If you're
yeah,
in the SoCal area, uh, it's we try to play every couple weeks. Usually, the longest we go without playing is a month. But yeah, LA and San Diego and the surrounding areas in Southern California would be the place. Thank you for
yeah,
asking.
cool, yeah, cool, yeah. So, where can people find you on social media? Like such as like Facebook, Twitter, places like that.
Yeah, so Spotify, obviously. We're on pretty much uh, um, every social media platform. Like we just started using TikTok, and but I would go to our Instagram profile, which is Anubis Metal Official, one word at Anubis Metal Official, and our link tree is there. I should probably know the URL by heart, but I don't. Uh, but that's where you can find our link tree, and our link tree has everything and all of our videos and all the links that anyone could possibly need.
Cool, cool. So this will be my like basically my last question. Unless
Okay.
anybody else in the chat got um any questions. So any advice for people who want to become a musician?
So want to become a musician. So
Yeah,
I'm operating pretty heavily under the assumption that the people watching this are going to be wanting to know about becoming a metal musician, since it's project metal music.
yeah,
So I would say make sure that you're doing it. So okay. Advice to people who want to become musicians. Um, First of all, practice a lot, obviously. Second of all, make sure that whatever you're doing it because you inherently get joy out of it. And whenever you find that you're not getting joy out of it, change whatever you need to change. Because, fundamentally, if we're playing metal, we're playing like, a subgenre of a subgenre that is not commercially viable right now. So you can't stress yourself out about success or, connections or any of that stuff. Like, you have to just be focused on the joy that you get from playing music and from, communicating ideas to an audience, and whether that audience is 5 people or 5,000. So, yeah, just make sure that you're having fun and enjoying the process every step of the way. And don't worry about anything beyond that. Beyond that, I would just say, seek out things that inspire you, like whether it's a movie that you saw, or like a relationship that you have that's changing or starting or ending. Just like seek out inspiration everywhere that you can find it, and let that, translate into what you do musically.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
That's very good advice. That's especially with like enjoy what you're doing, and if it stops
Yeah.
being joyful, stop. Change it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I see a lot of people kind of like develop these toxic relationships within their musical project, whether it's like, a guitar player they don't get along with, or like, whatever. And, nothing is worth adding that amount of stress to your life in. If a relationship is toxic, or if a situation is causing you stress, you need to get out of it. And that is doubly true if you're in a band, because as anyone in a band will tell you, band drama is literally the worst thing on the planet. There's just nothing as shitty as like stupid, annoying band politics.
Yeah. I've heard like I've heard a few stories with different bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially with the politics, it can
Oh yeah, I mean,
be
like,
very.
if, like, let me put it this way: if Guns N' Roses couldn't even, withstand bad relationships and band drama, there's no way you should be trying to.
Yeah. True. So anyway, Devin, thank you so much
You're
for coming
welcome.
on and doing this little interview. It's been an
Thank you for having
absolute
me. I
pleasure.
really appreciate it. Yeah, it has.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All
So,
right.
right. Any last words you want to say before we go?
Keep listening to metal. Keep
Yeah.
looking for new shit, and keep keep it up.
Yeah. Right, guys. Go check out the ANUBIS on their social media, as they are a brilliant band. So go check them out.
Oh, thank you.
So until next time, guys. Catch you all later.
Till next time. Peace.